have some remarks about outreach as well that lead us into the break, some food for thought over the break, and then that can inform our open debrief where we're all just going to jam for 45 minutes. Okay, so that's coming up soon. For now, though, let's do some real tight report backs from those three big clusters. Who wants to go first? Action, support and services, or convergence? We could start with convergence for a chronological.
Go 10 minutes.
Okay, so 10 minutes overall, so we need to divide that into, probably
just give me a time.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm Lena, I'm doing convergence. So we broke it down from Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday was education, Occupy Town Square. Positive things where it was a huge success. There weren't any permits, but a ton of people, a lot of good energy. The police didn't bother us. Trainings were well attended. Some people felt run over by trainings, that's a negative thing. The teach-ins, assemblies could have been merged more, difficult with communication with kitchen. There was a lot of leftover food at Judson, so some people weren't able to have access to the food. Definitely improved communication with kitchen, improved communication within our own group, more empowerment.
No. Point of information.
Oh, okay.
It's not that kitchen. The communication with Kitchen and Town Square was beautiful.
Okay.
It's communication with Occupy Town Square, disseminating information to the larger community. We were not able to communicate with the larger community.
Okay, yeah.
But that's a big difference.
Okay, sure. And feel free to add anything. Sorry. Mass trainings were awesome, but we should do a better job at plugging volunteers in from out of town. Huge issue, importance of addressing the dangerous march where a bunch of people got arrested. Issues of who led that, also not too conspiratorial, but there were flyers that were handed out, and issues of responsibility within Occupy and how a lot of those people were out-of-towners. So that's something to address later, I guess, in terms of community agreements. Sunday, the concert celebration was a theme, and the Rosh Hashanah services. Great music, great management, very inspiring. Rosh Hashanah services were good. Big props to Nina winning. Blanking on name. Anyways, Sunday. This was a negative thing. Sunday not conducive to connect. Concert maybe not the best place to connect. Issues of backstage elements and celebrity hierarchies within Occupy. We got great feedback. We need to dance more. So forget the political element. Maybe it just needs to be a straight up concert. More talking, more communication with people. Issues of decentralizing the stage. So are we going to continue to have concerts? How can we make this more Occupy related? Major conflicting sides of people wanting more celebrities for outreach, other people saying no, we need this to be more New York Occupy based. Some issues about hurt feelings, curatorial stuff, Reverend Billy, and those people weren't reached out to. Issues about where the money came from unions, $50,000. Some of us think that can be used in a better way. Issues of transparency. Problems of celebrities, pluses of celebrities. Better outreach, but also good props to the concert teams. A lot of this stuff came together last minute. Issues again with communication, food, stage. We were working on history of innovations with concert, having direct action people up there, having having Strike Dead up there, and also it was really good feedback about having an announcement of the affinity groups afterwards, and then a ton of people flooded that, and we had a lot of good energy for that. I think that's good. If you guys want to offer anything.
Okay, so maybe 30 seconds. There's any urgent supplements to that report back, folks?
Well, I guess just to add to the way that it was positive that the spokes community group happened after that. That was awesome, but there were also we did mention that there were communication issues with that as well, and maybe better communication to be worked on in the last minute time frame.
I think overwhelmingly we thought that we did achieve our intention, which I think is the overwhelming positive part of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I totally forgot that as a convergence we really liked that music, concert, political things were merged together, and hopefully we'll work on this for October 13th.
Okay, great. So, action or support and services?
Support and services didn't really meet together because we were two separate groups. I'm actually not entirely sure why they was going to put them together as two groups, but I can give support back. I'm already talking.
Just kidding.
Okay. All right, so we'll start
We did awesome.
I was part of it, so. But we housed about 300 people. We had to kick out one person the entire weekend. I think speaks really well for our community or very poorly on our ability to see shit On another kind of like positive note, there weren't a ton of people who took advantage of the Occupy classifieds and the host and occupier resources that we put together also kind of at the last minute. That was maybe like a dozen people. But it did actually happen. Like, people opened up their homes to strangers, and people stayed with strangers, and I got some really good feedback just from, like, people I met during the weekend who were staying with random people they found on the classifieds, and from somebody who actually sent an email who supported S17 just telling us how awesome it was to host an occupier, which is, like, very heartwarming. So it works, and people should offer to do it. I think the biggest thing that like we felt like was a big pull on the support group was just like we don't have enough people. We did not have enough people to be doing what we were doing. I'd like to just do a quick like hooray for Catherine and Virginia, who were basically at the housing space all weekend. They didn't get to do anything all weekend because they were dealing with the storage space. That was a really appreciated resource for a lot of people. They really liked, especially the people who were doing sleepable protests were really grateful that they had a place they could store their shit during the day, especially if they were going to go out and do like fake sleeps. So hooray for that. But Catherine and Virginia, go give them a hug, please, if you don't know who they are.
Consensual.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, ask them first, but part of this like lack of like volunteers that also has to do with like a lack of sort of people willing to be like the information distribution points. Like I realized this on Friday when I was like, there are people who are just rolling up to Ducati who don't know where to go or what to do, and we don't have anyone there to tell them that. And I have slept 2 hours, and I can't be that person right now, and I'm sorry. So part of this, like, this has to do with kind of just like an attitude towards these roles. We didn't call this breakout group mutual aid because we felt like during May Day it was a farce to call that mutual aid. There was nothing mutual about it. People were doing all the work and receiving all the resources and not doing a lot in return. So in terms of like how do we make that more like a mutual aid thing, we talked a little bit about the language around this sort of stuff being kind of like what was really successfully done with jail support, which is recognizing that it's everyone's issue and everyone's need, so everyone needs to participate in making it work. I also really liked Danielle's comment about how the movement is not your mother. We are a family.
Or your therapist.
Yeah. I really hope that this will like just support. Did I come off like that? I'm really sorry. No, that's okay. Okay. Think about the transportation issue, which came up in the call as being a point where people felt like we kind of had dropped the ball or trust had been lost. Based on sort of the experiences of the people who've been doing the negotiating with the nurses union and the people who were trying to get out information here, we did everything we could. I think a lot of the issue with that came down to a rumor mill and telephone information issue, because we never said, or nobody in this breakout group sending emails and trying to get information out said there are free buses. Certain people on Twitter said there are free buses. Certain people in different cities got information saying there are free buses, and Facebook groups started forming, and people started emailing us being like, I'm signing up for the bus, yo! And we had to do a lot of damage control around that. So part of that's just figuring out how do we get that message tighter. What else is left? Is there anything?
Giant caps. We have no
Oh,
parking
fundraising.
buses.
Considering that we started our fundraising hella later than we wanted because our fiscal sponsor's entire office went to Honduras to help refugees.
Yeah, they've got a refugee program.
Yeah, I mean, which is great, but it meant that we couldn't get access to a lot of the tech needs we needed to set up an online fundraising system until like August, like 12 to 14 days before the 17th. We raised between $14,000 and $16,000.
Yeah. Checks that I promised pending.
And that's still pretty good, you know, considering. And there's still so many left from that that's going to be put towards more infrastructure building and future projects. And the resource fund is sort of figuring out how they want to like integrate into future projects next.
Okay. Okay. So. Thank you, Ingrid. So there was support services then?
Yeah, they should.
The other half want to report back then? Okay, awesome.
Okay, so website was awesome. People used it. InterOccupy, awesome. People used it. Classifieds, people
Services.
kind of used it. The mailing lists, a lot of the tech infrastructure, most of which was brought to you by the Tech Ops group, came in fairly handy. Some of the takeaways we had, we needed more people to be trained in how to be content producers. The website was essentially run by Steve from Philly, who I'm sure would be here. He's awesome. Yeah.
Wait, is that Steve C?
We all know Steve's.
Okay.
Probably carried on with
Okay, let's take it back to Drew's report back, folks.
Robbie did most of the posting of events, and we had a team that was doing stuff. One of the big things is that content, especially accurate information about the action, what the action was, what it was going to do, what needed to happen, that was not delivered in a timely fashion. And that goes for quite a bit of content. And it's important in the future that decisions be made that, okay, this is not 100% consensus upon, but what do I have that is very accurate and is actionable that I can give to the people who are putting stuff online. Super important. All in all, the content was great. People found it very useful. I mean, we were getting in the week leading up 8,000 to 10,000 unique people visiting the website every day. Part of this is that we do need to support the technical infrastructure that we have in place. For instance, the S17 website is built on campaigns.occupy.net. This means that any group that is doing an Occupy campaign has the resources available to them to create a website exactly like the S17 one. And we'll be working on documenting that process and creating replicable themes and tools to do this. All this stuff is available for everyone. So infrastructure is good. We felt that D-Day needs to not be the day that we do the action. D-Day needs to be at least 7 days before. The email, the group that was pushing out email blasts, we attribute a lot of the turnout to the action trainings, which were very successful, to the emails that went out about them. Were those trainings held a week before, or the week leading up, and were we able to put out accurate information about that 2 weeks ahead of time? We could have had many more people. And so it basically comes down to making sure that there's accurate content being provided to people that are pushing the content to our websites. We have to remember that while Facebook is exceptionally useful and powerful, you are speaking to your network, not the wider network. So the email blasts and the public-facing websites are hugely important in speaking to people who aren't already connected to you. So we're not talking in an echo chamber. And I would love to have people come up to me later and tell me that they want to help document how we made this a success, because in the principles of solidarity and in the declaration of the occupation of Zuccotti Park, we state that we will do everything in our power to document and share how we do things well. So that is hugely important. So the job is not done until we can produce a lovely PDF and give it to every person on the globe so they can perform actions as awesome as the one they perform.
Cool.
Okay, Tech Ops.
Yeah. So it's 8:25. We were hoping to finish the report backs by 8:30, but maybe a couple extra minutes because Tammy wants to say a few points about outreach as well. So let's say, let's have this really. Let's start our break at like 8:35. Does that sound good? I mean, realistically, yeah. Okay. All right. So report back from action.
Hi, I'm Alexis. Sean did a really good job of facilitating the meeting. He also tweeted some of the stuff, so this is a sub portion of what he tweeted. But we talked about the planning stages, and then we kind of went into a chronology of the day, and then we talked about pluses and deltas. So this is just kind of what I wrote down. Somebody admitted to being skeptical of the AG model at first, but felt it really, really worked. People felt that we should go absolutely with the action spokes model for the future. The text loops and the maps were super helpful. There was a comment that we shouldn't invite presidential candidates to future eco action. And on that note, someone mentioned that we should really trust each other more because there was one individual who really made some noise about not inviting the presidential candidate and felt like we were going to hit a brick wall and felt ignored. So I'll just have more faith in each other and trust each other's opinions. There were some comments about the snatch and grab. Some people from the inside who were at One Police Plaza felt like there were people coming in constantly throughout the day. Mention of the sort of security culture and security state. Big ups for Jill support. There was some talk about in the morning, it was kind of hard to see. So individual ADs had leaders and actions, things like sitting down, but then people would sit down and you couldn't see them sit down. And so we sort of need sub-leaders who maybe can see the people taking action and can pass the message back in order to tell everyone else to sit down, because sometimes you just can't see what's happening. So there was mention of having more sub-leaders within the groups. People mentioned that there was a ton of joy. People really loved the city group action. It was really theatrical. There were no arrests. There was a theory that stop and frisk must have gone down in the outer boroughs during the day because they were so busy arresting us. People loved that every time we would start to run, the cops would go, ugh. We had a couple little confessions, apologies. We had some males in the group talk about they were sorry for taking up a lot of space and expressing that we need to spread out power better and not just have this small group of people kind of controlling things. So some heartfelt speeches about that. They were great. There were some sentiments that the tactical framework it would have been great if it was published earlier, but then there was an explanation as to why it wasn't published earlier, so there was some discussion about that. Big ups for the civil disobedience training. It was amazing. Some people said that the comm system had a slight lag, and so that made things a little bit difficult due to the lag. People said they made new friends. They loved confusing the cops. Lots of smiles during the day, and I just want to end with one last thing, which was there was a really heartfelt thank you who said, listen, I recognize that people have been working on this for months and months and months, so if maybe we could just echo that and maybe give everyone
Okay, all right. So that was a report back. I think we can jam more about the action stuff when we come back. I think that Tammy wanted to say we did not actually have an outreach breakout. I think Tammy wanted to say a few remarks about that, and then we can and Andy as well, and that can just percolate while we go on our break, and that can inform our conversation when we get back as well.
Yeah. So
if
the
you two
fact
guys
that we didn't have an outreach breakout is kind of indicative of the outreach problem. So there's three kinds of outreach: national outreach, street outreach, local outreach here, and organizational outreach. I'll speak to national and I guess street, and maybe you'll speak to organizational. In terms of national outreach, it was kind of a one-woman show, which is fine. I love conference calls for some reason. But a few things. S17 was really built up at NACAT, useful for national outreach, and useful to have those things next to each other. We set up a phone making system, which is pretty rad, but we did it too late. But it's a system where anyone around the country can phone bank for the action, and people did do it. We had folks in the Midwest do it and folks in the West Coast, but we did it too late. It was really happening the last 2 weeks. We need to have it earlier. And people just from here stepped up last minute too, which is great. The calls are great, like I said earlier, 20, 30 people on all of them. But it would have been nice to have other people facilitating besides me. I think folks got tired of my voice. So I'd love to be able to include more people in that process. We did have people from around the country facilitate, which was cool, but it's hard to do that if they weren't able to come to in-person meetings. I basically have to go through the whole thing with them ahead of time, which is fine. Email distribution, we need to do more of it sooner. But when we were able to get a lot of information together, it was super useful. Local outreach, we totally dropped the ball on that. I know that I said from the beginning I'm not going to do this, and then I did. But not really. I mostly just organized it, and some people stepped up the last week to do a little bit, but it was really too little too late. I think it speaks to the issue, and I just think this needs to be said. Action tactical planning did not make an action. And I think we've heard it from services, we've heard it from support, we're hearing it from outreach. And when we did breakouts in the planning meetings, the mass number of people went to the action planning, and it left nobody in these other groups. My suggestion, if we were to do these things again, I love the breakout structure, I think it was great for including people. But I think you do 2 rounds of breakouts, maybe convergence and action as the first round, and then support, services, and outreach as the second breakout, so that those of us who were doing it were not left to really be the building blocks for what is really fun and great action planning for everybody else. It's been a problem since day one of Occupy, so I think we need to start doing better.
Thanks, Tammy. Tammy held down all the national outreach. Yeah, I'm Andy, and I gotta do one thing. Just because money is contentious in Occupy Wall Street, it's really important for us to be super transparent about that. I'm gonna do that right now. So, we got $5,000 from the United Federation of Teachers, we got another $5,000 from 1199, then we got another $5,000 from this random guy named Bob Furtick, who's some sort of liberal Democrat. I really don't know who he is.
Democrats.com.
Democrats.com. 12,000 of that went to the concert. 3,000 of that was taken out of the concert budget and given to ARF, the van, fucking 8,000 action maps. It was fucking crazy. Then over on ARF, they crowdsourced like 12, 13.
We did targeted crowdsourcing to people who have already expressed an interest in Occupy and to people who have already donated to Occupy ever. So that's how we raised the other 12.
Yeah, so that's the money download. I also did, the union negotiation, another contentious issue in Occupy. This went really interestingly for me. I am a firm believer that one must constantly pay attention to passive allies and pull them farther and farther towards us in a spectrum of radicalization. I will be doing this for my entire life, most likely. There were pluses and minuses. The plus that I'll name is that the unions blasted our red action on the 7 a.m. I don't think they've ever done that before. That's really fucking hard to get people to do, and really shows how we built trust with some allies on the inside over the last year. It's always a numbers game, and we definitely didn't get like the turnout, the union turnout that we wanted. I was, and I think we should take that as a grant, for what it is, and not ever put all our eggs in that basket, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. It's a horizontal, marginally horizontal organization working with a very hierarchical one, and I think that's a great thing to continue doing.
Well, thanks, Andy.
Okay. Just for documentation's sake, could you give the quick rundown of the numbers that you mentioned about the money thing so that we can get it down?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
break.
not if we donated what you would.
Okay, so so we can have that conversation in the break. So let's break for 10 minutes. So let's see what.
All right, break everybody. That means go smoke, take a piss, scarf a vegan sandwich down your throat. You know, the good things in life. You know, breathe the fresh air that's outside the room. Not this one particularly because everyone's hogging it. There are probably some Jews. By one, me. Oh, I just did a Jew joke on my own Jew family. That's horrible. I'm going to hell. But anyway, we're going to come back from the 10-minute break, and then we'll have a open debrief. It means where people will talk about what happened, whatnot. What's the next step is number 10, popcorn next steps. Strike debt 013. Everyone's going to talk about October 13 proposal, and then announcements for the 12th. Yes. We're moving fucking quick, ain't we, folks? All right, folks. I'll get back to you on Occupy for Life. Thank you for watching. I'm Casper, your host, who just recently came out of jail. Oh, snap. Anyway, it was good times. What? I got 10,000 viewers. Holy shit, mister. Look at this. He's like one of those, like, 1980s fucking comedians.
No, we got 7 viewers.
Miami Vice right here.
I've been given a 4 on the douchebag scale because I'm walking around.
We got the Miami Vice here. Can you do an ad? Can you scream out Crazy Eddie's bye, 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 I'm Crazy Eddie? All right, folks, I'll be back. Thanks for watching.